Serving our country and communities can leave deep emotional wounds that aren't always easy to see. A new documentary called Sacred Texts of War sheds light on how we can better support veterans, first responders, and medical personnel as they work to heal from the trauma they faced. Joining us today are Dr. Melinda Keenan, Executive Director and founder of the Center for Post-Traumatic Growth. We also have Christina Mendonsa, the director and producer of this documentary. Welcome to the both of you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So, Dr. Keenan, I wanted to start off with you. Can you start by explaining what moral injury is and why it's such an important issue?
Yeah, if I may, today is 9/11, 23rd anniversary. So I want to thank all of our heroes that stood up that day and performed heroic acts. We see you and we remember you in the fallen.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. It's important to recognize that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What a neat day to be able to come talk to you about this.
Yeah.
Okay. So most of us have heard about post-traumatic stress and the symptoms that go along with that, but not as many people are familiar with the term moral injury. And what we've come to understand is that trauma leaves marks that go beyond kind of the symptoms of post-traumatic stress, beyond the hypervigilance, the hyperarousal. Moral injury is really at its core, unresolved loss, guilt, and shame. And so that's how it differs. And so there's those deeper core issues that we need to get at, and the treatments for post-traumatic stress typically don't dig down deep enough and get into those really deep soul wounds.
And some of this is addressed in Sacred Texts of War. Christina, what was it like capturing these personal stories from veterans, and how did you ensure their experiences were shared with authenticity and respect?
It was an honor. I mean, you know, one of my favorite things to do is interview people about their personal stories, and these are deeply personal stories, right? So not only did they recount what had happened to them in combat and what led to their moral injury, but we also got to take a look at their letters, the letters that they wrote as part of their therapy process. And they read those letters out loud. And those include all of these little details that make them not only personal accounts, but really part of history. Because these are people that are on the ground in battles we've all heard of, making decisions that most of us will never have to make in real time.
Yeah.
And then the documentary follows what happened to them after those decisions were made that led to the moral injury, and then how through the process that Dr. Keenan developed, they are able to become healed. And, you know, I mean, a cut's always going to leave a scar, so they still have those scars, but they are able to now live lives without alcohol dependence, suicidal ideation, and some of the things that we see in combat veterans.
And how do you hope this documentary will change the way we think about moral injury and support for veterans suffering from it?
Well, it's a beautiful thing what Dr. Keenan has developed along with her staff to be able to help these veterans. I mean, I deeply hope that people will see something relatable in themselves or in a family member who served, and I believe that'll happen because the stories are so diverse with the combat veterans that you chose for this.
And Dr. Keenan, how did you select and then build trust with the veterans featured in this documentary? What was the process of getting them to open up and talk about their experiences?
Well, you know, I laugh when people say, how did you select them? Because, I mean, I've treated so many veterans over the years, thousands, and, you know, I could have picked any 5 or 6, and the story would have come out similarly, because all of these wounds they're deep soul wounds, and they're from the heart. And so these people's process is really one of digging down into their souls and sharing that in a very authentic and just beautiful way. In terms of building trust with veterans, that can be very difficult, and first responders too, because you have a team mentality, and a lot of people don't understand the culture that goes along with that. And so they can be very skeptical of people, and especially of telling their stories. But over the years, I think I've earned enough trust with them. And then, you know, people know Christina. I think her heart shows. But, you know, when I say she's one of the good ones, You know, that sort of vets her, and then she just takes it from there, right?
And then Christina, being the producer of this, can you share maybe a particularly powerful story from the documentary that really stands out to you?
You know, I was thinking today, just it being 9/11, about one of the veterans that people will meet in the documentary. His name is Diego. And at the very beginning of his story, he talks about how he went into the military at a peacetime. It was peacetime. This is pre-9/11. He goes into the military. He's in Japan. He's serving. And he's out one night partying with friends, and then he gets a call to get back to the base. The MPs actually come out and get them and take them back to the base. And that's when he walks into the barracks and he sees the second plane hit the tower. And he knows, my life has changed. My mission has changed. The decisions that I'm going to have to make in the next few months have changed. And that's really the beginning of his story. So that's a bit what I'm thinking about this morning. But there are so many. And I want people to know, yes, we do get deep with the stories of these veterans. There are some painful things to hear. But while I won't say it's a happy ending, it is a satisfying ending. I mean, because we are recounting the therapy that they go through, this letter writing therapy, this narrative therapy that's been developed that they go through to help relieve some of this unresolved loss, guilt, and shame, which are the harbingers of moral injury.
Yeah. Christina and Dr. Keenan, I want to thank you both for taking the time to meet with us, our viewers, and telling us about this upcoming documentary that they can watch soon.
It premieres at the Harris Center on September 29th at 3 p.m. Tickets are available now. And then it will also be this fall on KVIE here locally and on PBS stations all across the country.
Perfect. Thank you both again so much.
Hope to see you all there.
There we go.
Excuse me.
And to our viewers, you can find out more by going to sacredtextsofwar.org.